Hi, it's Jon Cronshaw here with my author diary for the week ending November the 12th, 2023. I've found this week hard. This has been a tough week. Every year I struggle with seasonal affective disorder, and it always hits me early November. Basically, November is just hard. I have been doing little bits here and there. I did have Wednesday and Thursday off this week just to kind of rest and recoup and read and go for walks and things like that. I did get the 8th episode of Punks versus Zombies finished, so I did have a draft of that, so it was just a case of polishing it up, and it was a pretty clean first draft, so that was good. I've also written first draft to another Lord Sidebottom steampunk story. They're just there now. They're done. Now, I don't know. I had a revelation this week, probably just because of having my day off and thinking too much. But the Dawn of Assassins series, it's not assassin fantasy. It's thief fantasy. I know it's got assassin elements. It's got, the first book is about the thieves with an assassin, and then the second books are about them inheriting the assassin business. But it's not actually an assassin fantasy in the same way that my story Guild of Assassins is an assassin fantasy. So I have come to the conclusion that I've essentially mislabeled this series, misbranded it. It's not an assassin fantasy. So I think I need to rebrand and relaunch at some point. Obviously, this isn't cheap to do. My covers aren't cheap. Launching a book isn't cheap. There's also the kind of risk of alienating readers who have got into the series, who then go, "Oh, John's got a new book out," and then they quickly buy it, and then they realise, "Oh, actually, this is something I've already read before. Just got a different cover and name. You're trying to rip me off," that kind of thing. So it's a difficult one. But I do feel like I don't know. I don't want to say misleading, but the idea of it being an assassin fantasy series isn't quite right, and I think that does a bit of a disservice to the readers. So I don't know. Yeah, I've been thinking about that anyway, and I'm coming to the conclusion that it is something that needs doing, because if the main storylines were about committing an assassination or something like that, but they're not. They're a bit more kind of nuanced than that. Like, what is it in Trial of Thieves? That is, they get hired as assassins, but they try everything in their powers to kind of blackmail, to rip off, to con their way out of it. And it's more of a kind of reluctant assassin thing. So there is assassin stuff there, but it's not quite right, is it? I don't know. But the covers look really cool, but they're kind of wrong as well. And the titles are wrong. Like Dawn of Assassins doesn't make much sense when they're more thieves. Trial of Thieves works. Crucible of Shadows, I think, works. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud on this. In terms of reading, anyway, I'm just going to push that. Think about that in the future. In terms of reading, I reread Lords and Ladies by Terry Pratchett. This is basically comfort food for me. Terry Pratchett's great, and that's probably one of my favourite ones. I think when I first read it, gave it a 4-star. I think this time 5, because it was just great. And the new versions and new audio narrations of them are tremendous. I think the last ones were probably recorded, early 2000s, and I think the new versions of the audiobooks are kind of worth rebuying, really. So yeah, definitely check those out if you like Terry Pratchett. So what else? Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, it's just been the revelation thing this week. And I think what kind of triggered it was, and this is a bit gutting, but the only review I've got for my Dawn of Assassins box set in the UK is a 1 star, and it's basically saying that this is a long con story and the reader was really disappointed. I don't want to disappoint my readers. I think when I started out writing the story, I intended it to be assassin fantasy, so I bought the covers and everything. And the characters just, I go with the characters. I go with the flow. I go with the flow of the characters and what they want and what they do. And sometimes they don't play with what my intentions are. So yeah, that probably sounds nutty to people who aren't writers, but I think writers get it. So yeah, I don't know. I need to have a think about that probably when my head's in a bit of a better place. And what else? Yeah, I think that's about it really. I'll leave it there today. But yeah, I'd like to hear what you think about this. If you've read Dawn of Assassins or anything like that, I'd like to know your opinions really on whether I am, I'm just basically reacting to a bad review, or whether there's something there. I feel that the review is right. I feel that it is not quite what I set out to do, and I think it'll find more of a the right readers, because that's the thing, isn't it? It's all about finding the right readers and kind of meeting their expectations really. And I've not met the readers' expectations with that series. What the cover suggests is probably something a lot more grim and a lot more gritty than what I've provided, even though there's a lot of grim and gritty stuff in there. Yeah, I think it's probably just a lesson, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I need to do. Bit of a lesson there. So yeah, next week then I'm just going to see how I feel. I don't feel great. My mental health is in the toilet at the moment, but because I've been doing these author diaries for a few years now, I know that November's rubbish for me. And what I did is I went back and listened to my author diary for same week this time last year, and lo and behold, I talk about exactly the same thing with the seasonal affective disorder. So it's just part of my annual cycle, part of my annual rhythm. And I just need to focus on, I suppose there is kind of something empowering about knowing that it is just an annual thing, and yeah, it's just part of what my year looks like really. So yeah, that's kind of good in a way. But yeah, next week, as I say, I'm just going to play it by ear. I do have, I keep coming up with new ideas anyway. I do have a new idea for a potential series. So I've been jotting down notes for that. But of course, I've got loads of other projects. So yeah. All right. Well, until next time anyway, cheerio.